So, we continue. What was placed inside the tent? Genesis 1 continues in verse 9. And God said, let the waters under the heaven be gathered together into one place, and let the dry land appear. Okay, stop. How did the dry land appear? How did it appear? How did it get there? Well, we have plenty of other texts that give us a little bit more information, such as in Job. Job 38. Then the Lord answered Job out of the whirlwind and said, who is this that darkeneth counsel by words without knowledge? Gird up now thy loins like a man, for I will demand of thee, and answer thou me. Where wast thou when I laid the foundations of the earth? Declare if thou hast understanding. Who hath laid the measures thereof, if thou knowest? Or who hath stretched the line upon it? Whereupon are the foundations thereof fastened? Or who laid the cornerstone thereof? When the morning stars sang together, and all the sons of God shouted for joy. Note, the earliest reference to the phrase sons of God is in regard to angels, not the sons of Seth. That's a whole other teaching, which I don't have time to get into this evening. But those of you who are familiar with my work know that I really kind of got started in the public scene talking about the Nephilim and what I call the Genesis 6 experiment, where it talks about the sons of God. This is the earliest reference to sons of God. Angels came down unto the daughters of men and created angel-human hybrids that we call, in the biblical context, Nephilim. These are the titans of Greek mythology. These are the hybrids of basically every mythology. These are the Anunnaki that the ancient aliens crowd likes to talk about. They're not the good sons of Seth that many in the Torah community tried to force it to say. In 1 Samuel 2:8, he raiseth up the poor out of the dust and lifteth up the beggar from the dunghill to set them among princes, to make them inherit the throne of glory. For the pillars of the earth are the Lord's, and he hath set the world upon them. 2 Samuel 22:16, and the channels of the sea appeared, the foundations of the world were discovered. Psalm 102:25, of old hast thou laid the foundations of the earth. Proverbs 8:27, when he established the heavens, I was there. When he inscribed a circle on the face of the deep. All the other verses are from the King James. In that particular verse in the King James, it says he has set a compass on the face of the deep. What does that mean, set a compass on the face of the deep? Well, if you look this up, I found that the ESV is actually a much more accurate, at least in our understanding, rendering of the text right there. The word for set in the King James is inscribed. That's why the ESV chose the word inscribed. It means to carve something like in stone, like the Ten Commandments were carved in stone with the finger of God to inscribe something. And King James says compass, but it's from the same word hug that's used in Isaiah 40:22, which means circle. It's a circle inscribed into something else. That's how the dry land appeared. So we see that, how did the dry land appear? Well, it was somehow inscribed into something else as a circle. Again, we have Isaiah 40:22. What else was inside the firmament? This is where I really started getting tripped up with this whole thing. So when we get to day 4, verse 14, and God said, let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and years, and let them be for lights in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth. And it was so. And God made 2 great lights, the greater light to rule the day and the lesser light to rule the night. He made the stars also. And God set them in the firmament of heaven to give light upon the earth, and to rule over the day and over the night, and to divide the light from the darkness. And God saw that it was good. And the evening and the morning were the 4th day. It says in the firmament, not outside and around it. If you look up the word, you see that in Hebrew it's preceded with the prefix of bait, the letter bait. When the letter bait precedes a word as a prefix, it means in, or inside, not outside and around, as the Kent Hovind, Karl Baugh canopy theory requires. How many of you have heard of those guys, Kent Hovind or Karl Baugh, or the canopy theory? That there was a canopy of ice or something that surrounded the earth prior to the flood of Noah. And at the time of the flood of Noah, that canopy of ice was disintegrated, and it rained down for 40 days and 40 nights, and that was the cause of the flood, or at least part of it. Okay, but the problem is, I just showed you they're in the firmament. Their model, which I used to teach myself for many, many years, requires that the sun, moon, and stars are outside the firmament. Well, Genesis disagrees with that, and so also does the psalmist. We see in Psalm 148:4, praise him, ye heavens of heavens, and ye waters that be above the heavens. Waters are still above the heavens in the time of David. They haven't all rained down in the time of the flood and no more there. They were still there in the time of David. We see also that these heavenly luminaries that were created on day 4 and placed inside the firmament, they are moving, not the earth. Psalm 19, the heavens declare the glory of the Lord, and the firmament showeth his handiwork. Day unto day uttereth speech, and night unto night showeth knowledge. There is no speech nor language where their voice is not heard. Their line is gone out through all the earth, and their words to the end of the world. In them hath he set a tabernacle, or a tent, for the sun, which is as a bridegroom, coming out of his chamber, and rejoiceth as a strong man to run a race. His going forth is from the end of heaven, and his circuit unto the ends of it, and there is nothing hid from the heat thereof. I found it really interesting that Wernher von Braun, one of the founding members of NASA, has a very simple tombstone. He's got his name and the years that he lived, and he's got Psalm 19:1 right there. Interesting. When I was trying to figure out how all that worked, I was actually struggling with how does the 24-hour sun in Antarctica work if this is a circular enclosed world model. And so I used this software called Stellarium. Have you ever heard of Stellarium? Anybody? It's pretty cool software. You can download it for free. It allows you to track the movement of sun, moon, and stars forward, backwards in history, and wherever you want to set your date and your location. So I set my location in the software to Antarctica, and I decided I wanted to use the camera. You have camera options in there where you can look at the various north, south, east, west, various cardinal points. Or you can look straight up, and you can actually pull the camera down like you're inside the Earth, and then you can click a button that removes the Earth plane, so you're just looking at the sky, and you can see all 4 cardinal points. So you're looking at north, south, east, west, all straight up in the sky. So you see the sun and moon going around you. And I just let the software go. I started in January, and I went all the way through the end of December and recorded it. And then I took that same animation, and all it is I punched out the ground, so I couldn't see the ground, and I disabled the stars, so all I see is the sun and moon. And they're going, right here you see them going clockwise. Of course, when you're looking up, they're going counterclockwise, so all I did is put it in the software and flip it, so it's going the other way, and superimpose it over the circular map. And using spinning heliocentric globe-based software, it showed how the sun and moon could be moving over the circular map. And it also showed, this is why I have January and June together, that it speeds up and slows down. I didn't do anything to make this happen. This happened in Stellarium's globe-based heliocentric software. It showed the sun and moon slowing down and speeding up. Slowing down as it gets toward the inner circle, speeding up as it gets toward the outer, as it goes between the tropics, through the equator to the tropics and then back up again. Spinning heliocentric software showed that. I thought that was kind of cool. Scriptures in about 67 places describe the sun, moon, and stars moving. 0 in reference to the earth in any form of movement, rotation or orbit or otherwise. So how does it work then? If these things are up there, what's holding them up? If they're theoretically under a dome, how is that happening? Well, I found an interesting toy that I guess you can play with your kid with a spinning top that uses magnetism. And check this out. Imagine that's the sun or the moon over the circular earth. And then this person went so far as to say, let's see what happens if I put a dome over it. So they got some bubbles, and made a little bubble thing. Kind of cool. There's another group out there called the Thunderbolts Project. Have you ever heard of the Thunderbolts Project? Anybody? If you haven't, I suggest you check it out. The Thunderbolts Project. If you go to YouTube and just punch in Thunderbolts Project, they've got dozens of videos, lots of videos. Now, they are not coming at this from a flat earth cosmology. They're coming at this from an electric universe cosmology. But you could take a lot of the principles that they are discovering, and they're doing some real tangible experiments to prove their thesis, and you just migrate what they're saying over to what we're saying over here. It works. And as soon as I got back from Amsterdam, I went on Facebook and I was just checking some of my messages, looking at my news feed, and I saw an ad for this interesting little clock right here that has a levitating ball going around
a circular disc. Now, I'm just going to go out on a limb here and suggest that if human beings can come up with something like this, maybe, just maybe, Yahuwah could do the same thing, and probably a lot better. Just saying.